The movie opens with Ivan, a former Russian soldier, who becomes separated from his wife during a combat exercise with his fellow soldiers. He brings his son, Nikita, to the exercise, involving him as a hostage in the training. It happens to be Nikita's birthday, and after the exercise, Nikita is delighted and considers it his best birthday. However, Ivan's wife arrives and confronts him for taking Nikita to the military station instead of the zoo. The following day, Ivan heads to the training station, where he and a few soldiers are briefed by Ivanich, an officer at the station. His former commander, Gray, and another soldier have been taken hostage by the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. The terrorists have sent video footage showing a wounded Gray admitting to being captured. Ivanich explains that a prisoner exchange was offered but rejected by the terrorists, who demanded $300,000 within a week for the hostages' release. The meeting places in a part of Syria under U.S. military jurisdiction, complicating matters due to poor U.S.-Russia relations. After the briefing, Ivan and Ivanich discuss his ex-commander. Ivan reveals he hasn't spoken to Gray in 2 years, due to disobeying a direct order under Gray's command in Africa. Ivan offers to help raise the ransom money, and Ivanich provides him with contacts. Over the next few days, Ivan visits various places to collect the money, receiving contributions from the business world and military personnel. With all the help, Ivan manages to gather $150,000. Determined to rescue Gray, Ivan cleans up and, with the help of an old friend, goes undercover as a Latvian journalist for the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Ivan arrives at Chalsky Airport and boards a military plane with Russian troops on a search and rescue mission to Syria. Along the way, a soldier named Sergei nicknames him Malvina. Ivan plays along, introducing himself as a journalist. Upon reaching Kim Air Base, Ivan continues to tag along with the soldiers, who switch to a military helicopter. He claims to be filming the operation, but their helicopter is stopped by a U.S. military helicopter. During a maneuver, Ivan seizes the opportunity to jump into the water and swim to shore. Although injured, he treats himself and hitches a ride into a Syrian town called Manbij. In Manbij, Ivan finds a translator and poses as an American soldier, meeting a local Syrian named Asher. Asher helps him secure a knife, smartphone, pistol with ammunition, and a motorcycle. Ivan stays at Asher's place for the night. During dinner, Ivan asks about a blown-up Russian convoy. Asher shows him the location on a smartphone but warns him about the area's danger. The next morning, Ivan visits the convoy site dressed as a local. He finds the burnt military vehicle and some corpses, burying a remaining Russian soldier he finds inside. Spotted by a militia in a pickup truck, Ivan is chased into town. He reaches a bridge where he crashes in front of a group of U.S. soldiers led by Steve. They immediately confront him and point their guns at him. After seeing his journalist accreditation and passport, Steve takes him into custody. Steve and his troops take Ivan to their base. That night, Ivan texts Serge about the meeting place. Serge replies with the location, Ain Issa. After verifying his credentials, Steve gives Ivan his papers back and offers him a ride to Ajana. Ivan arrives at the meeting point accompanied by Steve's men. He negotiates with the members of the terrorist group, who ask him to show them the money. Ivan firmly replies that he wants to see the hostages first. The terrorists comply and show him Gray and the other Russian soldier. Ivan gives them the money he had tucked on his waist, but the terrorists notice it is only half the agreed amount. Ivan tries to create a middle ground, explaining it was all he could find in such a short time. The terrorists decide to compromise, agreeing to release one hostage for now and promising to release the other when Ivan brings the rest of the money. Ivan takes Gray and brings him back to the United States military truck. He returns to try and negotiate another deal for the remaining soldier, offering a prisoner exchange as an option. The terrorists, however, state they are only interested in money and tell him to leave. Ivan, who has no intention of leaving without all the hostages, executes his backup plan. He signals Gray to be ready, having given him a rocket-propelled grenade to fire. Gray launches the grenade at one of the enemy's trucks. Ivan shoots and kills 2 of the terrorists while the American soldiers also open fire. After an exchange of shots, Ivan and the Americans emerge victorious. Once the fight is over, Steve confronts Ivan, whose cover is now blown. Steve is furious at Ivan for lying and getting them involved in a shootout, which resulted in one of his men being injured. Ivan tells Steve the truth about himself and the hostages, explaining that he did everything to rescue his ex-commander because he had no other option. Although Steve is angry, he gives Ivan a package and lets him go along with the hostages. Ivan takes a pickup truck formerly operated by the terrorists and drives off. On the way, he introduces himself to the other soldier, whose name is Zakir. He notices that Gray is injured and instructs Zakir to give Gray morphine from Steve's package, which contains some weapons and medical equipment. Zakir also binds Gray's wound with a cooling gel. They decide to head to Aleppo, taking a route through Sapphire to avoid detection. After traveling a few kilometers, the car breaks down. Ivan gets out to fix it, and while repairing, he asks Zakir about the operation. Zakir explains that they were ambushed on their way back from escorting a group of Syrian soldiers to a checkpoint and that the terrorists quickly captured them after killing everyone. They continue their journey after fixing the car and discuss their backgrounds. Zakir, a Russian soldier of Chechen descent, was under Gray's command during the ambush. Ivan, on the other hand, was stationed at Chetna for mandatory service and was a prisoner for 6 months before his release. At that time, Zakir was a young boy living in a village in Gru. They encounter another problem: the car is running out of fuel. They head to a nearby oil refinery where Zakir, who can speak a little Arabic due to his Muslim background, negotiates with a local to get a full tank of fuel. As they resume their journey, Zakir spots a buried explosive that looks like a stone and prevents an accident. He attributes this skill to his childhood experience with similar explosives in his village. Zakir takes over driving but starts to fall asleep. Ivan orders him to stop and notices the tire is flat. They decide to call it a night and continue their journey the next morning. The following day, they are confronted by armed locals who notice their car. Zakir calms them and asks if there is a nearby hospital. Ivan gives them money, and they guide them to their village. Meanwhile, the terrorists track the car using a device. In the village, they meet a sheik, the village leader, who, along with his armed men, agrees to help. Gray receives treatment with traditional medicine while Zakir changes into local clothes. Ivan requests weapons and new tires, which the sheik arranges. Zakir finds tires and they begin fitting them on the pickup truck, also equipping it with the weapons they received. Ivan becomes curious about the many children in the village and asks the sheik about them. The sheik explains that the children are orphans from Yemen who escaped terrorist violence. Gray, now awake, speaks with Ivan while helping him dress like a local. Gray expresses his unresolved anger over Ivan disobeying orders during the Africa operation. Ivan tries to justify his actions, but Gray insists it wasn't Ivan's decision to make. After their argument, a local man reports that terrorists are coming with 6 armed pickup trucks. Ivan, Zakir, and Gray quickly leave the village after paying and thanking the sheik for his hospitality. Gray begins loading bullets into a gun while Ivan searches for a tracking device in the car, checking under the hood and in the cargo bed. They discover something shocking: a little girl from the village who had been hiding in the back of the truck. Gray finds a metal box containing one of the terrorists' phones, which reveals they had been tracking them. The terrorists spot them and start approaching at high speed. They place the girl in the back seat, and Zakir starts firing from the mounted weapon while Ivan drives as fast as he can. Ivan contacts Sergei, the humorous soldier he met while traveling with the Russian troops, and identifies himself as Malvina. He provides their coordinates and tells Sergei they are heading to a place called Althro with the hostages. Ivan, Zakir, and Gray make their last stand at an abandoned house that had been targeted for a strike. They lure the terrorists into an ambush using the phone. Zakir fires a rocket-propelled grenade at one of their vehicles, and Gray, from a hideout, starts sniping, causing the terrorists to retreat. Zakir and Ivan provide cover for Gray, who is specifically targeted due to his sniper position. A strike team is on its way to destroy the location but is pinned down by the terrorists. Gray, after ordering Ivan and Zakir to leave, sacrifices himself. He gets captured by the terrorists while concealing an explosive. As the terrorists celebrate, Ivan detonates the explosive, killing them and allowing him and Zakir to escape. The strike arrives, and Russian helicopters bomb the area, destroying everything. After the strike, Ivan, Zakir, and the little girl emerge from the smoke driving a pickup truck, which catches fire. The movie ends with the Russian military extracting them from the area.